So today I'm going to talk about my work with the Financial Transformation Magick book and how I got exactly what I wanted. So in the first video where I talked about this book and I had done about half of the rituals, I talked about wanting to be mortgage free by the time I retired, around the age of 60 or 65, and I'm 46 at the moment. And what I was doing was paying off extra money every month off the mortgage in order to achieve this. But what happened with the book was that it was helping me to reframe my attitude toward money and wealth, and that was helping me to enjoy my life more in the here and now whilst also planning for the future. At the time of recording this, 4 days ago, I became mortgage free. You'll just have to take my word for it because I'm not going to show you any statements online. And I'd like to be able to say that it is a really happy occasion and I'm singing from the rooftops, but if I'm being honest, it is a very bittersweet occasion and I will get into that in a minute. But what I wanted to say right off the bat is emphasize how much our timelines differ from those of the magical and mystical timeline. Because like I say, I'd wanted to pay off my mortgage by the time I retired. And my expectation was that would happen around the age of 60, 65. But clearly Magick had other ideas and I am in fact mortgage free by the time I retire, but about 20 years earlier than I anticipated. So let me give you a timeline of how all of this played out and I will explain more about how this came to be. So in April 2024, we moved to where we are now, and that's when I took out the mortgage. Absolutely fine, life going fine, as much as it can do. In March 2025, I had a physical health appointment. I'm going to keep it vague because I don't want to talk about the finer details, but that was when a mass was found. Now at that point, I didn't know it was cancer. I was referred for a checkup. There was no reason to suspect anything at that stage, but the checkup was routine. So in April 2025, that's when I purchased the Financial Transformation Magick book. The reason I purchased it actually was not because I wanted to be mortgage free, but I will get to that later because that all ties in towards the end of this. I heard about the book and I had this urge to buy the book because of something else that had come about. So I started the book, made the video, as you can watch on my channel, in November of 2025, so around 6 or 7 months ago now. I received a diagnosis of cancer of this mass. The reason I'm giving partly this timeline is that I was worried that people might think that this book had somehow triggered my illness, which you'll understand when I explain what's happened. But the mass that was found before I bought the book. Now, after my diagnosis, I questioned about whether I should make a claim on my critical illness policy. I checked the policy documents and the policy documents made it seem as though a claim was there's no point in making a claim. I also knew of other people with the same type of cancer as me who'd put in claims and those claims had been rejected, declined, however you want to say it. So I didn't have any hope that a claim would go through. But for whatever reason, in January 2026, in the first week of the new year, because I went back and checked my emails as to when I did this, I put in a claim because I thought the most that they can say is no. In April 2026, and interestingly, it's around about a year after I bought this book, I received a telephone call from the insurance company confirming that my claim was going to be paid and that my mortgage, that money I could use to pay off my mortgage. In May 2026, the money went into my account and I went to my local bank and I transferred the money to my mortgage company. So you can see why now that I said this is bittersweet, because this is not the way I expected to be mortgage free. And if I'm honest, I never even expected this at all. I assumed that me being sensible with my money and continuing to pay off extra each month was going to get me to my goal eventually. So was it the magic? Was it the mundane? The simple answer is I don't know. I like to think it was a combination of both. And the reason I say this, first of all, the first point I wanted to talk about is that I was not going to put in a claim. My husband and I looked at my policy documents a number of times and we both agreed that there was no way that the insurance company would accept a claim. I looked at it a number of times and then I saw conversations with people online about their experiences, that they'd been declined, and I'm aware that their circumstances may have been very different to mine, and also they may have been with different insurance companies to me. But all of that really put doubt in my head as to whether I should even bother. And why I think the book has been relevant for giving me the push that I did to just make the claim is that part of what the rituals talk about is taking opportunities, seeing opportunities for wealth and taking them, not hesitating, not giving in to doubt. And I wonder how much of that on a psychological level then gave me the push in the new year. And obviously with the new year, we start reflecting on our lives. And perhaps at that point, I just thought, you know what, let's go for it. Also, another aspect is that maybe the book was influential to the people actually processing the claim. Like I say, other people haven't been successful in claiming for this particular type of cancer. So who knows? The magic may have been working on the people doing the processing. And I'll be honest, you may not believe this. As I was going through all this with the cancer, at no point did I associate this book with making the claim go through. I just didn't. The two didn't even link in my mind. I was still continuing to pay extra off the mortgage, and I was just going through the process of doing the rituals in the book. Another thing that I should add in is that in March, I also did quite a lot of sigil magic. I went over Gordon White's sigil magic course, and Gordon White, rest in peace, travel well. You are going to be very missed in the Magickal community. I went through Gordon White's course, really getting clear on my desires, and I went through my Magickal diary again because I could have sworn blind that I did a sigil for being mortgage free, and I did. And so who knows, maybe that helped things along. And even at that point, I didn't do a sigil to be mortgage free because of what was going on with my health. It was just always this goal I had, because to me, mortgage free symbolised freedom, to have more time, maybe be able to work a little less so that my husband and I could go and do the things we loved, or that I could have a bit more time to do things I enjoyed rather than being at work all the time. But the weird thing about that now is that me overpaying the mortgage every month was a purpose, and now that is gone. You're probably going to think I'm absolutely crazy for thinking it. I started to think, well, what's the point? What am I doing? I don't have this goal anymore. This thing that I've been striving at and working hard for, I don't have anymore. Mixed in with all of this is, of course, having a cancer diagnosis. I am so grateful. I am grateful that I don't have to worry about paying for this house anymore, because if anything does happen to me, or if anything happens to my husband, either way, we are both secure, as you can ever be anyway, but we're secure that this house is paid off. I am so grateful for that. But I will also say, if I had a choice between this and still paying extra off the mortgage every month and not having cancer, I would go back to that. I would go back to that. Without wanting to make this video about cancer, it just changes your perspective on life. And some of those perspectives are good. It's galvanised me to, take the bull by the horns and stop procrastinating on things. But it's also tinged my life with a lot of anxiety and a loss of innocence about being able to take things for granted anymore. But still, we are where we are. Now, I said to you with the timeline that the reason I bought this book was not because I wanted to be mortgage free. And it was so weird, because after I got off the phone to the insurance company and they said, we're going to pay your claim, I was like, what the F? And my mind was just racing. And then for some reason, all of a sudden, it came back into my head what had precipitated me wanting to buy this book in the first place. So let me tell you about that, because that ties in with this as well. I'd heard about the book. It was in my wish list on Amazon. But the thing that got me to buy it was that someone very dear to me was in debt, and they'd had it promised to them by a family member that they would be helped out of this debt. And this family member then went back on their word and said, no, I'm not going to help you. And this was all part of a really difficult relationship anyway between this person and their family member. This family member had let them down a lot over the years. And I remember thinking, I really wished I could help them. I wanted to take the hurt and pain away, of course, but I wished I could help them with this debt. And that was the trigger for me buying this book. But for whatever reason, I forgot about that. I think because I realised that this is not a get-rich-quick book. This is a long-term book. I still haven't finished it. I've got 2 rituals left to do. So this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, if you like. However, as I sat there on the sofa and I remembered this initial reason for me buying the book, because I have been paying extra off the mortgage for all this time, the amount that I received from the insurance company was quite a bit more than the amount left on the mortgage. And so I would have this surplus of money. And when I realised that, I contacted this person and said, please let me help you clear this debt. Let me clear this debt for you. And that is exactly what's happened. I've been able to help them pay off that debt, which was the original reason for me buying this book. Make of that what you will. I like to think that because I let go of wanting this thing instantly, because I was just happy to keep paying extra off the mortgage every month and just getting to retirement, I hadn't even got any intentions of that happening any earlier. And I wonder if the letting go of any sort of quick result helped to facilitate the claim being accepted. Certainly, I think the book helped reframe my mindset around taking opportunities and almost just, even just putting the claim in the first place. Like I say, I was not going to do it. I was not going to put the claim in. Can you imagine me sitting on the fact that I could have paid off my mortgage and that I never did because I didn't dare to put a claim in because I was afraid that they would say no? And even when I had the phone call from the insurance company, I remember thinking, they're going to tell me it's been denied. And I remember thinking to myself, but that's okay because I'm just going to carry on paying it. I'm going to carry on paying extra anyway. So I'm not really in a worse off position. There was a hope there. I'm not going to lie. But at no point did I think that they were going to pay the claim. What I do want to say as a disclaimer is, please don't think that if you buy this book, the same is going to happen to you, like your mortgage is going to get paid off. Everyone's experience is different. It's really weird in a way because now that purpose has gone, that kind of drive and that striving to pay off the mortgage, that's no longer there. I don't need to strive for that anymore. But now I feel a responsibility to do with the time that I have, if I do decide to reduce my working hours, to do something good with that time. I have been given a really unique opportunity. I'm so grateful for this opportunity that now I don't have this burden of the mortgage, that I don't want to squander this opportunity. I don't quite know what that's going to look like yet, but I don't want to waste it. And once I finish the book, like I say, I have 2 rituals left to do. Once I have finished the book, I'm going to make a reflections video on my experience of going through these rituals, because I feel this book has given me things that are a lot deeper than wealth. I know you might think, well, that's easy for you to say now you haven't got a mortgage. But honestly, even before all this, there are things that I think you can get from this book that don't involve wealth, but that can apply to different areas of your life. So that is that. Let me know what you think. Do you think it was magic? Do you think it was mundane effort? Do you think it was a combination of both? I don't know. And you know what? In some ways, it doesn't matter because I am where I am. Take good care of yourselves, and I will speak to you again soon.